Right, hello. So this should be a charity fundraiser stream. Now, I don't know exactly how this will work, but I imagine below there will be a button saying like donate or support or something like that. So basically how it works is I could pick from a list of charities, and I found one for disabled veterans, as in, like war veterans, soldiers. There wasn't like a universal one, but there was one for American ones, and because obviously most of my viewers are American, I thought I'd pick that. So I don't know exactly how it'll work. You have to let me know how it appears, because obviously I can't see how it looks to a viewer this stream. But in theory, what it means is that if you click the donate thing, or however it shows up, it gives obviously a donation to that, charity I've chosen for the stream. So hopefully that all works all right, because I thought it'd be quite nice to do a charity stream, assuming that, works, and I might do these more often if it works all right. It pops up at the start, does it, Jack? That's good. But yeah, so, I thought I'd do this for a change just to see how it works, So I don't know if people super chat on this one, if it goes to me or the charity. I'm afraid I can't answer that bit for you because I don't know, but I think there is a way during the stream you can support the charity. So, I thought I'd try this and see how it goes. Because I wouldn't mind, being able to do sort of charitable stuff using a stream. I don't know, Alex Saint. I mean, this one covers, like it says, disabled veterans, so I don't know if it covers, that's annoying, Visa. I don't know, right, Compa, I don't know too much about them other than they were just on the list of ones I could pick from YouTube. It's one for disabled American veterans, apparently, as in service personnel, because I wanted to do one for soldiers, but it was quite limited on that. There's loads of different ones for different cancers and things, but in terms of, like, servicemen, there's not that much. Yeah, hopefully it'll be all right, Mike. The actual mask itself, Ninjago, or the actual filter? All right, Henry, fair enough. What Henry's on about, I won't go into big detail, but it's one of those people that, made an account to basically spy on certain people, one of those sad people, so... Okay, Jack, thanks for saying how that works. As like I said, I knew you could do it because I've done a COVID one on a few of the videos that let me pick it on, but I've never looked into it more than that. So, yeah, the thing is that where they have a list of chosen charities you can pick, it's not that big a list, unfortunately. Compa, I don't actually have many like military harnesses and like rigs and all that. So I'd say just a good sort of tactical vest that you can put stuff on. I just had the thing, where it said you have a text, but then it's just one like the spam sort of advertisement text saying, like, oh, because you bought from us before. Blind Explorer, Asif, I'm all right, thank you. Work's over for another week, so that's good for me. I'm going to have to find out tomorrow what's going on with UK corona restrictions, because they're apparently going to get a lot stricter, but I don't know yet if it's going to affect my area or not, or whatever else. Yeah, it's affecting everything, isn't it, COVID, in terms of jobs, what can open, can't open, travel, all that. But yeah, so for the people who don't know, in the UK, at the worst case scenario, I think we're going to have another national lockdown, as in like what we had for a few months earlier in the year. If not, I think it's going to be like much stricter on regional basis. Yeah, that's not good, Stug. In my area, the cases are going up and up and up, but they haven't said new restrictions for my cases, but I think they might just be waiting for whatever they say tomorrow. The problem with the UK coronavirus stuff is it differs quite a bit by county and all that. So it's very inconsistent at the moment in the UK, like which counties have which restrictions. I mean, normally Private Orange, I just buy them from eBay. There's a couple of other like surplus shops. I think Soviet Power used to be one that would sell things like the PMG, but they were pretty overpriced on there, if I remember. That's what I'm thinking they're going to do, Ninjago, in all honesty, just because of how, many local lockdowns there are now and all different rules. I'm assuming they're going to say for like 2 weeks to 4 weeks or something, you're in another national lockdown. Oh, cheers, Altrix. That's nice of you. So, yeah, so it shows up then on the side of the screen like Altrix does. It says Altrix donated $20 to DAV, Disabled American Veterans Charitable Service Trust. So that's obviously how it works. So, yeah, that's good. So I'll do these in more streams now and again, because it seems like a nice thing to do to put like a charity fundraiser on that's kind of related to the channel. But like I said, it's not that straightforward at the moment, because you have to like pick a list of charities, and there's not that many on there. That's a Nixie tube clock that Hype sent me. So how it works is it's basically vacuum tubes that display numbers. Do they display it using the plasma? I can't remember. But essentially, yeah, it displays numbers using vacuum tubes. So, things like this. So if you've played Fallout or Metro, in Metro, the wristwatch uses Nixie tubes. In the Fallout games, well, not all of them, but in a lot of the Fallout games, the Pit Boys have Nixie tubes for the numbers on them. That's annoying, Mike. I assume it's the same as the super chat, is it then, how it's done? But yeah, good on you for trying. But like I said, it's just a thought it's a nice thing that I could try and do now and then on my streams. Yeah, I really like Nixie tubes, Compot Boss. It's a shame they're so expensive. Like I said, Hype really kindly sent me this one for free because he said they're not too much in China to buy the kits and send them out. But the problem is in, like, if you go on UK eBay, people are literally getting these kits, rehousing them, and then selling them for like £200, £300. What's Steins Hagate then, Compot Boss? Do you know what I'd really like to do at some point, but I'm crap at making things? Or it's the sort of thing Mike might be able to make if I gave him a hand with the electronics DIY side of it. Getting one of those, whatever Fallout game it was it Fallout 4, the special edition gave you like a fake Pip-Boy thing to put your mobile phone in? I thought it'd be really cool to get one of those. Instead of having a mobile phone in it, rehousing a Nixie tube clock and a Geiger counter inside it. But so I think in theory you could probably rehouse one of these quite easily into one of those. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool, Mike. It's just how practical it'd be to do. I'll have to look after payday and see if there's people selling those like plastic Pip-Boy arm mount things cheap on eBay. Because if they're cheap, I wouldn't mind buying one to play about with. Yeah, but on Etsy, Stug, people charge loads of money for them. It's just more, could you make one for the fun of it? That's cool, Tricks. But yeah, it's just the idea of basically mounting something like that in it, so it actually has a function, and then maybe seeing if one of my tiny little Geiger counters would mount in it. So you could actually have a radiation detector and clock on your arm like that. Is that on a radio? No, I mean that's just a clock where you set the time using a remote, and then it's just basically a normal clock. So it is 7:24 at the moment here. I think it's technically 7 looking at my other clock, but But yeah, they used to just use Nixie tubes for displays, and then it was, one of those things that LCDs replaced because they were a lot less expensive and a lot more compact. They're just very cool and retro, and you can always see them in the dark. Because if I flick all the lights out in the room, although my webcam won't see it very well, hopefully you can see there that obviously Nixie tubes are perfectly visible in the dark because of how they work. Obviously the webcam doesn't focus that well on them, but yeah, Nixie tubes are really cool, but obviously, like I said, they're obsolete technology. They're just called a really cool obsolete technology. I'll flip the light back on. That's very cool, some CBR. And that's the sort of thing that if I had my bunker and I had loads and loads of spare cash, I'd buy something like that. But I don't, you know. All right, Henry, do it if you have to do it. We won't keep mentioning though, because you don't want to give those sort of people attention. But yeah, Boldingtelski, the best way of getting one is to contact somebody who's trustworthy in China to buy one for you. Oh, there's already one just turned up for you, Henry. Your had I'll try and pronounce it properly for him. But your had looks like an egg, odd looking bloke in it. I think you're meant to say your head, but yeah, goodbye. Oh, you got rid of him just as I got rid of him, Henry. What, as in it's freezing, Ninja Go, what? That gets brought up every well, not every stream, Compot Boss, but it gets brought up a lot. And it was only in a stream the other day. I'll put the other light on again so it focuses better with the camera. Yes. I've got the book and I've read it. Yes. If you like the Stalker film or the Stalker games, definitely read Roadside Picnic because it's the book they're sort of based on. Yeah, if you read it or listened to it before, Ryan, if you haven't, you're in for a treat. I really like Roadside Picnic. It's like one of those really good underrated sci-fi books because, you know, it's kind of based on Earth and it's a lot more real than a lot of sci-fi stuff because it's basically just about, very minor spoilers, where aliens visited Earth and then they've like completely screwed up all the physics of the area they visited. No worries. I like people talking about books like Roadside Picnic. Let's get out some good books people should read. I've probably got some all handy here. Yeah, this one. This one. Right. Here's some other good books for you that are sadly relevant. Right, obviously I've showed that one. So, Fahrenheit 451. I've never read the Metro book, Compot. And Stugarth is at the same time. No, I've not. So Fahrenheit 451 is like one of the books like 1984 and Brave New World, but it doesn't get brought up as much. But Fahrenheit 451 is very relevant if you're into cancel culture and all that sort of stuff. But the other one, see if you can tell what it is from the cover, because it doesn't actually say the name of the book on the front. That's all right, Elaine. It seems like there's quite a few things that people can't donate in certain countries. Yeah, I'll do that later, Mike, if I remember. Yep, right, completely correct, Mike. 1984, it's the telescreen. So yeah, 1984. Yeah, Brave New World's kind of real as well, but the thing is with Brave New World is that Brave New World is kind of like a mix between a utopia and a dystopia. Whereas 1984, I think, in terms of surveillance culture and everything else, that's the one that's become the most real. But if people have not read 1984, you've done something very wrong because it's such a relevant book to all like the horrible stuff that's gone on in the world. Oh, that's all right, Mike. I was going to say I was going to delete it when I got round to actually putting my hand back on the mouse because obviously I was holding the book up. But Oh, I know Iron Savior, but I've not listened to Brave New World because they've done a song called The Omega Man or Omega Man, which is about the film The Omega Man, based on another book on that bookshelf. But yeah, there's another good one for you that's quite a short book and a good read. The sort of book that started the modern zombie genre off, that George Romero was a huge fan of. Thank you very much, Flazzy. Obviously, it doesn't go to me, it goes to that charity, but thank you. As I said, that was the only one for disabled veterans I could find on the YouTube charity program, but thank you. Obviously, that's really good. I assume they just help them with things like, like medical treatment and things like that. Can you post a picture of it somewhere, Yum Yum, and link people? Then they might be able to help you, including me. You won't be able to link it during a stream, though, but you could upload a video of it or something to your channel and then ask us to check your channel out at a later point. No, I haven't, Alex Saint. That sounds interesting. But speaking of World War II books, let's get more books out. Ignore the shitty CGI cover for this. It's an excellent book, though. Hans Ulrich Rudell's book on the Stuka stuff. So if anybody doesn't know who Rudell was, he's one of the best pilots in history. He's dead now, but Hans Ulrich Rudell was basically a guy who flew Stukas in missions over Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. I think he might have flown a Focke-Wulf as well. I can't remember if he says that in the book or not. But he's he's the most famous pilot for the most targets destroyed out of any pilot. The guy who wrote it, Rudell, it's like his autobiography. It's not fiction. It's obviously his accounts of the Eastern Front. But he's one of the most famous pilots ever for the amount of Soviet tanks and everything he destroyed. And thank you as well, Peter Aaron. But also because the Americans used his insight after the war for developing the A-10 Warthog, because Ruder was the basically close air support ace. There's a really good video on YouTube that sums up Ruder in 2 minutes, just going over the huge amount of targets he destroyed. Also, Rudel's quite cool because he basically, is not a fan of Hitler or whatever. If you read the book, basically, he thought the horrible things the Nazis did were, atrocious. He was just a Luftwaffe pilot, basically. Yeah, it's all right, Daniel. It was just something I noticed I could do. I don't know if it's since I've had memberships or if they just introduced it and they didn't announce it. But if I go on a stream now, I can now and again do a stream where I can just select to make it a charity stream. So I might do one once a week and then, see if I can pick different charities. But I thought one for disabled veterans would be, related to the channel because of all the stuff we talk about, military surplus and that. Oh, that's good. Shed on Fire. I'm glad you passed it. Well done. You can, Alex Saint. If you look at the Teespring or look below, what I do is when it comes up with the merch, I basically pick all the colours you can pick as long as they look all right. So obviously I don't do ones where it's black on a dark brown colour because then you can barely see it. But I basically normally do orange, blue, green, yellow, and all the colours like that, where you can have the pictures and they're quite contrasted on it. Yeah, the mugs are all right, aren't they, Compot Boss? I know I'm sort of shilling my own merch, but the mugs are decently printed because I've got the S10 mug and a Mark IV mug. Oh, and thanks, Lewis, as well. I wonder if it'll tell me when I end the stream how much people raise for charity on this one. All right, Henry, you can answer me. Is the pillow comfy? Because if it is, I'm tempted to get one myself, just my own bed. Oh, and for the person saying, sorry, I missed you above, soon can I afford the bunker? So, Flazzy, I think next year I can definitely afford one, assuming one comes up for a good price, with all the factors included. It's, you own the land it comes on rather than you having to pay rent monthly or yearly on the land, because it seems a bit pointless to buy a property to basically then have to keep paying rent on the land anyway. It's also going to depend how much land comes with it and all the other factors, but hopefully next year, if one comes up for a sensible price and it's not going to be a complete ball ache to restore. Oh, that's good then, like £39 for charity. That's not bad, is it? Have I done an XM28 mug yet, Lewis, or anybody else that can view my thing? Because I've got the XM28 design Bart drew, but I haven't put on much merch yet. So I could do an XM28 mug, because I think that would look cool. I can look at my own Teespring, can't I? I don't know why I'm asking everybody else, have I done it? Let's have a look. Teespring, home. I want... Is it dashboard? Which is the way? Stores. Is it stores or listings I go on? Right, there we go. View store. Right, XM28. Have I done it yet? Yeah, there is an XM28 mug. Let me link it. I'm kind of tempted to get one of these as well if I... Okay, so it's more like a sofa pillow, is it, Henry? I might still get one, to be honest. I'd have to get Bart to draw one, Alex Saint. But yes, if Bart at some point wants to, politely as possible, pull his finger out and draw a load more merch stuff, you can have the different merch things, because he's meant to be drawing me an M17A2 of a chemical hood at some point. But yeah, so there is an XM28 mug. You see, I couldn't remember if I'd done it or not, but yeah, I think the lime green of an XM28 looks pretty cool, because, you know, it's a pretty cool prototype mask, or sort of rarer mask, isn't it? Well, as in you didn't breathe through an old World War II one Ninjago. Sadly, Compot, I can only do the stuff that Teespring lets me do with how Teespring works. I can't just randomly get companies to put like a couple of cool-looking logos on their products. As much as it would be cool to be able to buy, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, what I want to actually have a look on eBay and see if you can still get them is the Oh, sadly, I don't think they're around anymore, but South African assault vests, I think they were. But they were quite cool. They were like the ones for holding loads of mags. There's like repro ones, you know, whatever camo you want. But the problem with those is obviously they're not the actual proper original ones. They're just like the same pouch layout, but you know, with yeah, it's like over £100 for one, the original one. So yeah, it might be just cheaper to buy one in a camo you like. But for the people who wonder what I'm on about, I'm just on about one of these. The I'll link one. Obviously, this isn't an original. It's kind of a replica. Right, the link's too long to post in the chat, so let me see if I can cut the link down. They've not got many in stock, but it's just like one of the mag layouts. So like, I've got an old AK mag layout vest thing somewhere, like you know, one of the ones that you just clip over, like the webbing type stuff. But yeah, let me see if I can shorten this URL. I should be able to. It's just one of the ones where it's put like 500 characters on the end. Yep, there we go. Right, there you go, Compot Boss. That's the sort of one. Obviously, you'd have to get in a camo you like, and I don't know how strong these replica ones are. But I do like some of the sort of different woodland type prints on these. But it's just like one of the ones where I think the mag pouches and everything are quite well laid out. Like, sadly, the actual real South African ones are like £100. Ninjago, you probably bought inert cartridges, didn't you? So what I mean by that is something like this. Or essentially there's no primer or you know, powder in it anymore. All it is the bullet and the actual casing. That's a 50 cal, by the way, if you're wondering why it's so big. It's not like I've got a tiny hand. Obviously, conventional cartridges are like that size. You know, comparing them. The Virgin 556 versus the Chad 50 cal. Yeah, that's the right compound. Like I said, they're cool vests, aren't they? I think if I got one, I'd probably get Inflecton or like one of the sort of old retro woodland looking things, but if it wasn't in my safe, Henry, I could get you some raw uranium ore out. Oh no, let's report him to the CBRN police because he's got some fucking uranium ore. No, Jackson, we're on about the people who have reported me before because I've got stuff that's perfectly legal, but they've just wanted to get me in trouble. I can look up for you, Elaine, but I actually really don't know. Let's look up South African gas masks. I assume they probably bought stuff from other countries. There's one where they've got like an M15 looking mask, as in the Israeli M15. But it could be any of the kind of M65 variants, you know. Hang on. Oh, that's a Swiss one there. Oh, apparently, South Africa has used the SM90 before, though, according to the gas mask wiki. By the way, the SM90, for anybody who is wondering, is the gas mask on the cover of Stalker Call of Pripyat. There's also other pictures of South African troops wearing like old British World War II era masks. I know at one point, Daniel, didn't South Africa and Rhodesia have like a lot of part sharing? Because I think Israel supplied both of them, didn't they? But this was like back when, you know, Britain and everything had abandoned them, essentially. But yeah, I definitely know... it depends on the period, Compot, because I think it wasn't long after... I can't even remember if it was World War II or after that they became independent from Britain. But, like, Rhodesia became independent from Britain, I think, was it like the 50s or 60s? And that's why basically Britain fucked them over by not supplying them during the Bush War. I can get one for you, Lewis, if you want one, because I'm getting merch out for you. I don't mind going AFK to get it. So talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in a minute. Right, Lewis, I'm back. Right. There's a mug with Harold Shipman on for a size reference, and here's the merch mugs. So I think they're all pretty much the same size. So that's the Mark V one I've got in yellow. That's the S10 one I've got in blue. So yeah, I assume they're the standard sort of like 300 odd milliliter mugs, you know, like I'm saying, because this mug's pretty much the same size. Nearly all our mugs are that size, except we've got some that are a bit smaller and a bit bigger. Yeah, I think they're pretty much just standard mug size, Lewis, because if they did bigger mugs, I'd have also done those, because I really sometimes like bigger mugs for big cups of tea when I'm working at the computer for a while. But I think that's around 300 milliliter, I think. But yeah, like I said, they're pretty much just standard size mugs. Sadly, Fuzzy, I don't know if Teespring do it. I can have a look, because they do add like new stuff now and then, but with Teespring, it's basically you can look for a catalogue of stuff, like products they do. Then it's like you just tick one you want, and then you can choose colours and put like logos on it. I wish, Ryan, I wish. If I had a Shipman mug, which this is going to get very dark for a YouTube stream, where you could get diamorphine, aka heroin, in your mug, and just, you know, I'd be doing that all day. But yes, sadly, I don't think my shipment mug turns whatever liquid you put into it into diamorphine. That's all right, Lewis. Like I said, when people are like that interested in the merch, I don't mind getting them out to show them. But sometimes I have those mugs. Normally, if I remember and I'm having a coffee while I'm on stream or whatever, I do get the merch mugs out. That's the reason I have them. But yeah, Mike's one should be the exact same size because they're all Teespring. No, I've not heard of OD Blade Devil. What's that? What's your budget for one, Jackson? If you've not got too much, see if you can get something like a Czech CM3 or a Polish MC1, because they're quite cool, sort of old civil defense masks, and for what they are, they're pretty practical. What time is it? In the UK, it's this time. I think add an extra minute to that, but yeah. 7:47 p.m. or 19:47 p.m. in 24-hour time. At some point, I'll have to definitely take all the casing off of this to see what the innards look like, because I've never bothered doing it yet. But I'm sort of quite interested in looking at the innards. But yeah, this one's quite good because it just powers via a USB. All right, see you, Alexei. But yeah, thank you to everybody that's donated so far to that charity as well. Just because I said I thought it'd be quite nice to do a charity live stream for once, and yeah, it seems like it all works fairly well. But as Mike said, unfortunately, you can't seem to do it via PayPal, which is a bit of a shame. In the channel logo, that would be a British light anti-gas respirator. It's the most common kind of first generation kind, but it's not the first generation kind. You'd have to ask Baroque for days if you want a very, very detailed breakdown of all the different generations and styles of British light anti-gas respirators. But it's basically the quite common World War II one, basically. All right, I might check out at some point Complot Boss if I remember. Oh, so you're only an hour ahead then in South Africa, then. That's all right. It was just for the people who wanted to donate to a charity thing. I thought it'd be quite good to set up a charity thing. But I think I can stick donation things under regular videos as well, so I might try that at some point. Cheers, Marcus. Like I said, hopefully they're like a good charity. It was just the only one I could find on the YouTube search of charities they were like partnered with that was actually for veterans. But yeah, like I said, it's no problem for the people who can't. I just thought it'd be a nice change to see if we could do one for like a fundraiser thing. Ah, cool. Where did you get one, Marcus? Was it eBay or somewhere else? But can you fit masks on it? That's the important thing. I suppose if it's undersized, you could probably just wrap some paper around the head, could you? And then just stick the masks on over the paper. Yeah, it used to be zeroing an air rifle scope, Ninjago. It just was after a while, it just became that video. I find Chernobyl very interesting even. I mean, I've got the Blu-ray series there, like, the HBO one. I've seen quite a few different documentaries and series on it. If you're interested in some of the Geiger counters you see him holding in the TV show, it's the Soviet DP5 series. The current one I'm still waiting for all the stuff to arrive for, but should be good when it comes, and I need to get a video done on it at some point. I might do one on it this week, actually. Is the Soviet IMD5, which was the one that replaced the DP5 series, but basically the no, I can certainly not read or speak. I suppose you mean Russian rather than Soviet. But yes, I can't read Russian at all, especially because it's not even in the English alphabet. It's obviously in that alphabet, Cyrillic. But you can use a lot of Soviet gear. Like, it's very interesting because it was built to be very straightforward to use, even from people who are probably illiterate. Oh, the Soviet Union was basically a communist dictatorship that ran Russia and a few other surrounding countries from the sort of 1920s to technically, I suppose, 1917, wasn't it, the Russian Revolution? But yeah, essentially the 1920s to like 1990, like in about 91 was when the Soviet Union collapsed. But basically, the point is, lots of people use Soviet and Russian interchangeably, but basically, when most people are talking about Russia during the Cold War, it is the Soviet Union, because that was the system of government. But yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, obviously, they use the same numbers, like everybody does, as English. So if you're looking at something like this, you know, like, you can actually read the scales fine on them. And obviously, with counters like this as well, the units on the counter, if I can get that where it's not reflecting stuff back, so it wants to focus. Like, that is readable if it actually focuses, you know, like millirads and rads. That's actually readable. Gas Mask is saying something I don't understand in Russian, but there you go. IMD5, good bit of old Russian equipment or Soviet equipment. Right. Let me have a think, because the issue is modern ones aren't going to be surplus ones. And modern ones are most likely going to be digital night vision. Now, if you're prepared to spend a fair bit, Ryan, I think Pulsar do a binocular style one, because I've got a Pulsar Challenger, which, you know, is like a one eyepiece one, but I think they do a binocular as well. If you wanted to get military surplus binoculars, then it might be a bit easier to suggest stuff to you, because the Soviets, the Americans, and a few other nations did, you know, like binocular night vision. Is it any good, Fluzzy? But yeah, my Pulsar Challenger's all right. It's just obviously because I've got the really, really good British Gen 2 scope now. I feel sorry for you, Lewis, but I imagine Oxford's going to be locked down pretty soon, assuming that they're not going to do the bollocks of we're in the south, so therefore we can ignore the R rate. But we're in both yellow and red on the current thing, depending on which bit of the county you're in. And in all honesty, when I was at work today, I wish we were in a lockdown, because the amount of people that thought there's new measures coming in, so we're going to rush and argue, you know, and all crowd in and spit at people and all that sort of shit, you know. I thought, oh, hurry up, lockdown. All right, cool, Yum Yum. I can't look while I'm watching the stream, but I'll try and remember to look later. Yeah, well, lead would lower the amount of gamma radiation getting through. It basically completely stop alpha and beta radiation getting through. It would minimize the gamma, but the amount of radiation on, like, the roof of the number 4 reactor building was so intense that lead was not going to do much at all. Because the thing is, lead doesn't stop radiation, because there's kind of a myth of that. What lead does is it cuts down certain amounts of radiation very significantly. Then with gamma, I think it's like, isn't it like an inch thick piece of lead quarters it or something? But the point is, the amount of gamma you'd have to wear on you to completely, you know, cut down something significantly is basically impossible to wear. Yeah, Mike did an egg cup video, whatever it was called. Just don't store it under your pillow, Dan. The best thing to do is just keep it in, like, either a metal or a wooden box. If you've got an old ammo can, you know, like the those sorts, you know, of various sizes, store radioactive stuff in ammo cans, because it will make it airtight, so things like radon gas can't escape. But for the most part, just store thorium in like an ammo can, or just like a steel if you don't want to spend much money and get one that's small, just get like a small steel coffee pot or, you know, like teabag container. But the main thing with thorium is just don't store it under your pillow. It will give off gamma rays, but the energy from a single thorium lamp mantle is not going to be very bad. The main thing is don't eat it. I know that might sound silly, but don't. If it's in a plastic wrapper, keep it in a plastic wrapper. Because if you open it and bits break off and it gets on your fingers, it could get under your nails, you could eat it, you know, or you could breathe in little bits of it that have broken off. Yeah, 50 cal ones are good, Lewis. I've got one in my gun safe to store a load of my radioactive stuff in. But yeah, I'll show you a way of storing it. Like obviously, those sort of containers behind me, I store a few of the less serious samples and things like this. Just like airtight plastic containers, because that stops radon gas escaping. So just to demonstrate these. Just turn the radio scan on and I'll show you how these work. But yeah, the main thing, Dan, is put a decent amount of distance between where you regularly like live or sleep in the thorium. So the ideal thing is don't put it in your bedroom. Because the worst thing was when people used to put loads of thorium lamp mantles in a desk drawer. Because obviously, you know, by your bed, like a chest of drawers. Because that meant gamma rays were coming out constantly while you were asleep and interacting with your body. Right, so as you can see, from me holding this in my hand, this is a bit higher than background. If I put that there, that's a lot higher than background. If I open it up and put it right onto it, it will be much, much higher than background. Shame Radioactive Maniac's not on this stream, seeing as how much he loves this sort of stuff. But yeah, so now if I put that, for example, on there, $17 millirontgen. No, still a long way to go, Elaine, to get to 3.6. This one maxes out at 1 Rontgen anyway. But I think this other one would actually be a bit spicier. Let's have a look. Let's put the cover back on there. Yeah, I think the spicier one will probably be this one with all the little bits of autunite and torbanite in. Do I have a UV light handy? Let me just check. Because if I've got a UV light, you'll find it's really interesting. But sadly, I've probably not got it handy. That's a regular flashlight. Let me just see if my, my UV light's handy, because UV is very interesting when exposed to autunite. Oh, there's one. Right. The webcam will probably just make that glare out, but that's glowing bright green. UV light makes autunite glow green. But it looks better on a regular camera than the webcam, because the webcam shows that just kind of whites out. I don't know anything about it today, Elaine. I know during the Cold War they were pretty hardcore, like Rhodesia, but I imagine they're nowhere near as good now, like most militaries. Anyway, let's see what sort of reading this gives on there. $24 millirontgen. And I'm not going to get it closer because I don't want to contaminate the meter with little bits of dust on there. But yeah. These are very interesting. For those of you that don't know, torbanite and autunite are naturally occurring uranium crystals. So basically it's where uranium just becomes a pretty little crystal kind of thing. But they're, you know, not very nice in terms of what they give off. I've got stuff that will make it sing much more than that, but yeah. But yeah, basically uranium-based crystals. But yeah, the point is you don't store something like this next to your bed, because you don't want it next to your head all day giving off, you know, lots and lots of energy that's going to be going into you. But as long as you store it, like, not near pets or other people, it's fine. you know, the stuff you can easily buy online anyway. Because I'm not expecting you to get like a really spicy bit of Cobalt 60 you just managed to find somewhere. But if you're interested in the classic Geiger counter noise, I'll just show you one just to see, you know, just for the because that one makes more of a synthetic beep noise. My hottest sample, Dan, is probably the Radium painted back screen from the Soviet DP63 Geiger counter. They tend to range somewhere between 7 and 10 millisieverts per sample, which is about, you know, 0.7 to 1 Rontgen. Well, so lose a lot. If you ate it, in the short term, it probably wouldn't do you any harm. In the long term, it means you'd get cancers and that earlier in your life. Right, let me see if my headphones are handy for my thing. Yep, there they are. So here we go. Old Soviet headphones. Plug those into here. The IMD5. Let's turn them on. We'll get the headphones, if I put them up here so the wire's long enough. We'll put the headphones next to the microphone, where it will hopefully pick up the clicking. It should just be clicking at background right now. And let's get that Torbanite sample out again. Can you hear that all right on the stream? Yeah, that's more of a classic Geiger counter sound. Yeah, that's the IMD5 Russian and Soviet counter doing that, just on the Torbanite sample. Wow, like I say, it's one of these rocks, so yes, it gives off beta and gamma rays. Well, alpha as well, but this one doesn't pick up alpha. But and this one might make it go even crazier, actually. Yeah, that's just from like the naturally occurring uranium ore. The thing is to bear in mind with Geiger counters is the rate of ticking does not mean the danger of the radiation. Well, it kind of does, but a Geiger counter measures the Ks. So basically, it's not telling you how energetic that radiation is. This might go even higher, actually. Now, what's this giving a reading through the figure? Just wait for it to zero on a number. It's at 0.5. Slowing down. It might get to 0.75. This is about 0.7 by the look of it. But yeah, that's just old radium watch hands. So if I shine a light on these again, it doesn't look very good on the webcam, but you might be able to see. Where the radium glows under UV. Yeah, there we go. That's showing all right. Yeah. Again, radium is really cool stuff, but I'd be very careful with radium. For the people who are on about thorium stuff, thorium I would say is much safer to keep in your house than radium. I personally would, Dan, just so people know not to fuck around with it. If somebody else comes to your house and plays with it. Yeah, the reason radium I'd say is more dangerous than something like thorium is that radium tends to flake with age. So if you get radium painted stuff, the radium paint, like undark paint, tends to chip and flake. So it's very easy to open something with radium and have the paint flecks go everywhere. Because if you eat or inhale those paint flecks, your insides are going to go the same as, you know. Ooh, that's a good question, Marcus. I'll get back to you on that. Because I've got a DP63 still in factory condition with all the bits in it unopened, I'll have to open the lid on it so you can see the radium back screen, and then I'll have to basically walk backwards from it using a Geiger counter and measure. You're not going to get too bad a dose at 2 meters because only the gamma rays will get you at that range, and most of them will dissipated. But I'm pretty sure, considering the radium backscale of the DP63, you'd still be at pretty elevated levels of radiation at 2 meters. There's a reason that my open DP63 radium scale is in a plastic case, inside a metal tin, inside a locked compartment of the gun safe, inside a locked gun safe. Ciggies aren't very radioactive at all whenever I've tested them. I think like burning tobacco is meant to be slightly radioactive, but it's not like Geiger radioactive. Oh, David Han Lewis, yeah, it's radiation burns essentially. Well, if you can get a lead pig, Marcus, that's the best thing. Surviving the Apocalypse keeps his in a lead pig, but he doesn't keep it in a gun safe. And the lead pig massively cuts down the amount of dose he's getting. Yeah, an ammo box is going to help a lot. Because the thing is, Marcus, if you store it in the center of an ammo box, inverse square law means even from the edges of the ammo box, it's a lot less, strong than it was. The main thing I'd worry about with a DP63 is the radon that's going to keep coming out of it. Because there's enough radium paint in there that it's going to be belching out radon. You keep that in an enclosed room, it's like smoking several cigarettes a day in terms of how much radiation you're being exposed to. Yeah, the elephant's foot is incredibly radioactive. It's the corium. Its technical name is corium, where the floor melted down that basically made a lava sort of pile of graphite and whatever else. Yeah, well, the elephant's foot is famous, isn't it, Flazzy, as being like, you can die from being next to it for like a very short amount of time. I'll do a video on radon, Marcus, but basically, radon is something people tend to know about even if they're not into radiation. But radon, in very simple terms, is an alpha radiation gas. So, you get alpha, beta, gamma. Radon is an alpha emitter. It's a decay product, technically, of radium. Like, radon is a decay daughter of radium. But the reason radon is dangerous is if it gets in you, obviously it's essentially like punching your inside from the inside. And radon is a gas, so you breathe it in into your lungs. Now, radon is famous for being in the basements of old houses. Yep, Joe, radon is in houses. The reason being is that lots of old houses have like granite and stuff like that in the walls. Now, basically, if you go through lots of materials, that granite or whatever will contain a little bit of uranium or a little bit of thorium or something like that. And down the decay chains of those, you get radon. So, you'll get the uranium decaying into radium, essentially decaying into radon. And what happens is if you're in an enclosed space, it's belching out radon constantly, and your basement or whatever is turning into a gas chamber, essentially, where more and more radon is building up over time. So what ends up happening is if you've got a high radon concentration in your house, is essentially all the time you're in your house, it's the equivalent of smoking a certain amount of cigarettes in terms of how much internal lung damage it's doing, due to basically. Let me show you an alpha emitter, just to basically show you what an alpha emitter does. So, what would be a good example? Probably a little bit of AM241. So, yeah, it depends, Daniel. It's basically just not very good. It's like too good insulation, isn't it? So, here is a little bit of Americinium 241. You know, the thing David Hann was famous for harvesting from smoke alarms. So that's AM241, right? Outside your body, AM241 is pretty harmless, like most things like this, because it's basically, you know, it gives off a lot of alpha, very, very little gamma. So the alpha is dangerous, but outside your body, it's not very dangerous because it has so little penetration power. But what happens when something like alpha radiation gets inside you? Maybe I've got this the wrong way up with this one, I can't remember. Or is it this one the other way around? I can't remember. No, this one goes round this way. Okay. It's not being as active as it normally is for some reason. Oh, there we go. That's what I was trying to get it to do. So basically, radon, what radon does is when it gets into you, it's a bit like that, you know, that it's on the outside, like if we turn it round, it's not giving a very high reading at all, you know. But as soon as it's inside your lungs, it's essentially doing that. And that radon is coming across as nowhere near as scary as it might because of the distance between the Geiger-Müller tube on this and the back of the case. That's nowhere close to Chernobyl readings, Ninjago. So for example, something like this I'm not scared of holding in my hand. I would not hold graphite from Chernobyl in my hand, you know. But yeah, the point is that I really don't know, Daniel. I know there's problems, isn't there, with shooting if you're in an indoor range and lots of lead breaks down in the air over time. Not as far as I'm aware, I'm afraid, Romek. Right, see you if you're off, Henry. Right, Marcus, other than being in a well-ventilated space, the only way of dealing with radon is keep anything that emits radon in an airtight container. Yeah, Marcus, if you leave the windows open, it just goes into the air, and it's not a problem. Thank you, permanently patriotic, by the way, for donating to that charity. But yeah, so if you've got your windows open, it's not a problem. But the easiest way of dealing with radon is simply just to keep it in an enclosed box, basically, that's airtight, and then just don't open it in your room. Like, if you're going to open it, open the window, you know, or something, open the box out the window, so the radon disperses that's built up, you know, handle the thing for a bit, then put it back in the airtight box. No, because radon goes away on its own after a bit, Marcus. Basically, radon, because it's a decay product, radon itself decays into other things after a while. Yeah, I do, Dan, and it's completely fine. The reason being, Dan, that as said, I keep it in the gun safe. The steel walls of the gun safe and everything else minimize the readings. And inverse square law means the outside of the gun safe is slightly hotter than background, but not, you know, that hot. And, you know, you go a yard away from it, perfectly safe. But exactly, it's a good idea, Peter, isn't it? You don't want to be... If I had more radium items handy in this room, I'd demonstrate them. But if I can get my MD3 giving accurate reading, I can show you how scary some of these items actually are. In terms of, like, if they are inside your body. Oh, good, I can. Right. Here's going to be a good experiment then. Here's an ionization chamber. They never go quite to background, but 1 centigrade is equal to 1 Rontgen, very closely, if you remember from that video on the board the other day. Let me show you what happens if you put radium watch hands close to it. So let's open this up with those in there. Let's put this there. Don't know, is the light working in this one? No, sadly not. Anyway, so that's the radiation reading. Let's see if I can get this at an angle where it will take a reading from it. It might be easier to do this with a bit of americium, actually. Let me try it with a bit of AM241. What I technically need to do is have this in something so I don't get an electric shock, but that's not going to happen. So let's see if I can just manage this. Is my Swiss Army knife handy? Right, it is, because good, this has got tweezers on it. So let me get the tweezers off my Swiss Army knife. Although technically I can still get an electric shock using tweezers, can't I? But never mind. Technically it'd be best if I just had a bit of glue tack that I could stick this to, but right, okay. So AM241 on the tweezers. Let's get this up where you can see it. MD3 ionization chamber. See that? See that insane reading coming off that little bit of AM241? It's about 1.5 Rontgen per hour from that. That's what's inside your smoke alarm. But that gives you a good idea, basically, of what happens with radon gas inside of you. Because alpha radiation is incredibly powerful, but it just can't penetrate very far. But once it gets in you, that energy is being bombarded from you from the inside out. So, yeah. Like I said, I don't mind holding this in my hand because of how alpha radiation works, but ionization chambers are very, very handy to get a good reading if they're open air ones of like how, you know. With all the crime there now, I'd have to go somewhere nice in South Africa, in all honesty. But it would be somewhere I'd like to go for, like, you know, the natural beauty of it. I know, obviously, there's been lots of problems over years to do with poverty and crime and that in South Africa. Yeah, is Cape Town nice? I know Cape Town's very scenic, but because I know it's obviously Johannesburg, isn't it, where there's a lot of problems, but well, Rhodesia was a lot better than Zimbabwe in terms of how prosperous it was as a country. Mugabe completely fucked it up. But anyway, I'll be off in a minute because, as I said, I've been on over an hour. But a massive thank you to everybody that donated to that charity today. It was really nice to do a charity stream and have people donate towards it. Same as like any capital city, I guess, in the lane in pretty much any country, because obviously in London there's lots of dodgy areas of London where we have lots of crime. I'll probably do a members stream tomorrow, Flazzy, so that will just be a standard members stream. I'll do it tomorrow evening, so 7 p.m, 8 p.m, that sort of time, UK time. What gas mask do I think looks the coolest? I'm tempted to say the MF11D if I can spot where that is behind me. So I'm tempted to say this one I think is really cool looking. But, that's personal preference, coolest looking gas mask. But yeah. But yes, hopefully the bit of the ionization chamber was interesting to anybody asking about radon, because I know Americinium-241 isn't technically radon, but it gives you an idea of just how active some of that stuff can be. I don't know if I've ever put that DP63 backscale against the MD3, but I imagine if I did, that would be an insane amount of energy coming off of that. What, the Zelinsky Command, whatever it's called, Matija, that's a very interesting and weird looking mask. But anyway, thanks for joining, everybody, and a big thank you to anybody that donated to the charity thing tonight. I'm sure it's made a difference. And yeah, I might do charity streams more often now I've worked out I can set them up. But yeah, have a good evening, everybody, and stay safe. And we'll find out tomorrow, I guess, in the UK what our new corona restrictions are, because I imagine we're going backwards, not forwards at the moment. So see you all. Have a good evening. Good night. If I can click end stream and it'll work. End stream button isn't working. Okay, that's strange. End stream. No, it won't let me click end stream. Right, I might have to pull my webcam out and all that in a minute then if I can't actually end stream by clicking end stream. Why is that not working? Yeah, it's working now. Right. Night, everybody.